shelter, shelter. Simple life, it's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter, shelter. Yeah.
Of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers, rather we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. Again, this is your one and only platform, the platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. And so this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are around the world, this is the We Too All Liberians movement, our podcast. We wanted to come and make our own statement as it relates to ECOWAS intervention in the Liberia's dual speakership dilemma. So our title for today's show, as you can see on screen, is simple. The leadership, we'll say leadership in crisis, Liberia's political divide, and the ECOWAS intervention dilemma. So again, welcome to the We Too All Liberians movement podcast, where we tackle the pressing issues facing our beloved Liberia. So today we are diving into a situation that has left many of us shaking and our heads in frustration and disappointment. President Josephine Boakai recent decision to call for ECOWAS intervention to resolve the legislative impasse surrounding the dual speakership crisis is not only a reflection of the current administration's lack of decisive leadership, but also a glaring reminder that the deep divisions that continue to fracture our country. As our citizens endure hardship and poverty, the political elite seem to grow even wealthier by the day. It's time now for us to examine the implication of these events, the dangers they pose to our national stability, and how we as a people can demand more from our leaders. We want to look at today's show, which is going to be very brief. We'll do them in segments. And so our first segment here, which is segment number one, we want to contextualize the show in such that we look at first contextualizing the crisis first from a scholarly perspective. Liberia's political instability is not a new issue, as we all know. The recent deadlock between the majority and the minority legislative bloc over the dual speakership challenge has been a long-standing concern for political analysts. Historically, the inability of our political leaders, our leadership, to manage internal conflicts has led to national discontent, which in turn feeds into the cycle of poverty and underdevelopment. So the role of ECOWAS, as we all know, as an external body is indeed crucial in mediating regional conflicts, but it also raises the question, should Liberia be relying on outside forces to resolve domestic political problems? President Boakai's decision to call in ECOWAS actually reflects a failure of leadership to use executive powers to resolve this matter internally. This could be seen as a sign of weakness and indecision that undermines the confidence the people have in the government. Let's look at segment two, because we don't. It's just on my end. It's early in the morning, so we want to quickly just go through this, and then we'll leave you with some questions. Hopefully, I have my co-panelists in person of Nathaniel Heron, who's going to come and help me just savage this and break it down for our viewers out there. So segment two here, we say the impact on ordinary Liberians. Now, On the layman's perspective, let's break it down for the average citizen trying to survive in Liberia today. The political division in the legislature fueled by, let's say, power struggle amongst elite has trickled down into the everyday life of the people. Imagine living in a country where the people you've elected to serve you are too busy fighting for power, leaving you in a constant state of what? Uncertainty. While these political elites continue to live in luxury, the rest of the population languages in abject poverty. Basic services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure development are neglected, and the economy remains stagnant. Meanwhile, we hear talks, or we hear talk of ECOWAS intervening to fix problems that our own leaders should be addressing. It's a slap in the face, I tell you, my brothers and sisters, to the everyday Liberian who continues to struggle just to make ends meet. Now, let's look at segment three of today's presentation. The leadership crisis and national security, I think, is a major concern, something that we need to also pay particular attention to. This is where things, become even worse, more serious. A nation that cannot resolve its internal conflict risks instability. The prolonged crisis in the legislature without a clear resolution poses a major threat to our national security. The people are watching. When political leaders, fail to act decisively, when they allow personal interests and power struggles to govern their actions, they create a vacuum where frustration and anger can easily fester. So Liberia is no stranger to conflict, as we all know. And this current division could easily turn into something more dangerous if it isn't addressed properly. Now, President Boakai, his inability to take charge and use his executive authority to resolve this deadlock is concerning. The citizens of Liberia cannot afford to be in this state of limbo for much longer. The external intervention by ECOWAS might solve, the immediate issue, but it doesn't address the root causes of our political dysfunction. It is the failure of the local leadership, not international bodies, that will ultimately determine the future of Liberia. Now, segment four, a call for accountability. It's time to ask hard questions about what we, the people, are willing to tolerate. Are we going to continue accepting the status quo of political games that hurt our livelihood, our future, and our children's future? It's Is it enough for our leaders here to point fingers to each other, leaving the citizens to suffer in silence? The Liberian people need to demand better. We need leaders who understand the urgency of addressing the real needs of the people, not just the political maneuvers benefits the few. So now, if President Boakai is to be the leader we've hoped for, he must take bold steps to ensure that our government function as it should for the benefit of the people. And for those who think that change is impossible, I say it is the power of the people that will drive real transformation. We must hold our leaders accountable and demand that they work for the common good. So now, as we conclude, there's some critical questions that I have here. And these say critical questions to ponder. So I have about 6 questions. Hopefully, I'll be able to ask all of those questions. And we're not going to try to answer those questions, but hopefully, my co-panelists coming, and eventually we'll take a deep dive into this. One of the questions is, let's look at number one. Is ECOWAS intervention truly a solution, or does it reflect the inability of our local leaders to resolve internal conflict? How can Liberia's leadership use its executive power to resolve issues within the legislature without relying on external actions? Great question, right? So question 3, what are the long-term consequences of the current political instability on Liberia's national security and socio-economic development? 4, how can we as citizens hold our leaders accountable for the continuing disparity between the political elite and the suffering masses? 5, what concrete action can Liberia's government take to prioritize the well-being of ordinary citizens over political games and power struggle? 6 reasons our final question this morning, this afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Is it possible for Liberia to rise from the political crisis without genuine political reform and a commitment to national unity? So for the purpose of our followers or viewers who are just tuning in, this is the We Too Are Liberians movement platform, your platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we're in the business of changing our thought process, changing our mindset. So our topic, as you can see on screen, is when leadership fails to lead the ECOWAS intervention and the struggle for change. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Liberians Movement Podcast. We encourage all Liberians to stay engaged, informed, and continue the conversation. The future of our nation depends on it. Thank you very much this morning. I appreciate all of your contribution. We look forward to an exciting show coming this Wednesday. Again, we will have in studio the one and only incomparable Nat Heron. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good and blessed day. Bye.
Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter.